Welcome back to New Realities. This is an ongoing series where I investigate really the latest in the transformation of consciousness and how we are particularly approaching the biggest question to ever face humanity. This is the visitations of other beings, other levels of consciousness. And so today's guest is my good friend, Caroline Cory. Caroline, hi, thanks so much for being here. And her new movie, A Tear in the Sky, is just, it's hot release, it's out, it's making waves. She does the science behind UFOs, and thanks so much for being here, Caroline.
Thanks for having me, Alan. Good to see you.
Good to see you too. I also want to just give a little shout out for a series that Caroline's going to be part of, which is this. You see that Making Contact series? Caroline's show is on June 9th. There's another picture here of the whole flyer, and she's coming on to talk about in more detail the whole movie she's done there. So let's talk about A Tear in the Sky. This is really a breakthrough, not only in filmmaking, but in technology and in the proof that we are being visited by other beings. So do you want to show a little trailer there and then we'll discuss it?
Sure. Here, I'll show the trailer.
Okay.
If you can let me share.
Oh yeah, let you share by making you a co-host. There you go, co-host.
Okay. Awesome.
Okay. And
okay, so here's the trailer for A Tear in the Sky, and there'll be a lot to discuss. So here we go. Let me know if there's you can't hear or something like that.
Okay. Here we go. Looks good so far. Press play. I think.
What has made mankind is an insatiable curiosity. Insatiable. What is that? Nobody knows. The phenomenon.
Nobody's ever done this as far as I know.
It's a huge amount of work, a huge amount of data and equipment. That has never been done.
Whatever this is more complex than we could ever imagine.
This is a first in the field of ufology.
The variety of devices we're bringing as a team to study the phenomenon covered an entire spectrum of different technologies in real time.
That moment shook me to the core because I knew my life was about to change again.
I think we're going to have like a couple of really, really good spots.
When I hear that you've assembled a team of top scientists using state-of-the-art equipment, I say to myself, it's about time.
This is an unidentified, unclassified new phenomenon.
Wow, Tic Tacs. Navy Tic Tacs.
Maybe.
Caught on our cameras.
Yep.
That's incredible.
Crazy. It isn't crazy, it's crazy. It's crazy.
We can go from body heat to very cold, like about minus 62 Celsius or minus 80 Fahrenheit. Wow. We will be transmitting data up to 800 terahertz in frequency. Our highest technology is up around 500 gigahertz.
I can't tell you how much I'm looking forward to seeing what you've uncovered.
We're triangulating and converging at 2 points, the same object.
It's fading.
It's gone. It's friggin' gone.
Something over, Catalina. We need you up here.
We could be heading towards the biggest "see I told you so" in history.
That's what we need, the smoking gun that'll clinch it. That once and for all will settle the debate. No ifs, ands, or buts. And in the process, rewrite all of human history.
Oh my God, you guys. Is this the wormhole? It's insane.
There you have it.
Great. That is great. I mean, just between watching William Shatner and Michio Kaku as commentators, that sets the stage. So, and the film is doing very well. Just tell people how they can see it now, where to buy it.
Yeah, it's on Amazon, iTunes, a little bit everywhere. If you're in the US, probably Amazon is best, but they can go to atereinthesky.com and see all the different platforms. It's right there.
But the important thing about this film is that you prove scientifically the existence of other planetary craft, right? Is that like why you think this film is so important?
Yeah. So as you know, for those who know me and who have seen my other films, I feel my work as a filmmaker is to bring validation, to bring credibility to whatever we think is paranormal, make the paranormal normal. And the way you do that is to bring the science that we understand, that we have right now. And so I've done that with other subjects, but with the UFO phenomenon, I thought the best way is to start from scratch. You know, when you have scientists analyzing footage that someone took a while back, like we don't know this real, we don't know how that was taken. We don't have any other correlative data. So it's very difficult. And so to establish something scientific, you have to have a large number of devices doing different things. In other words, some optical things, devices measuring the optical signature. You have to have spectrum analyzers, radiation detectors, infrared cameras, CCD cameras, all sorts of devices at the same time, also achieving triangulation, meaning different angles, to capture one thing, because then you have so much data, so much information about that object that then that becomes scientific and incredible. And no one's done that. Who's done that? Right?
Well, the government's probably done that, but they're not telling us, are they?
Of course, yeah, I'm sure. And, you know, that's another thing. I think what this movie does is the fact that we were able to collect so much data. I'm talking hundreds of hours of data. And, you know, in the film, it's a film. It's not a scientific, you know, like convention, you know, doing a PowerPoint presentation. So we're kind of taking the best, you know, kind of some of the clips of the best data that we've collected and showing it in the film with some detail, and then the rest, you know, is coming in a science paper. And so the fact that we were able to do so much and collect a variety of types of anomalies in 5 days, and we're civilians. Doesn't that prove to you that the government, with all their radars and satellites and all the technology they have, they must have like a ton of stuff. They're sitting on a ton of stuff. Right there, I think we proved that they must have so much data. Whether they're looking into it or not, that's a different topic. But don't tell us we don't have data.
Right. No, you're absolutely right. I have to say, just today in the New York Times, did you see the headlines in the Times today?
The congressional
hearings on UFO. Yes, isn't that fantastic? Let me see if I can pull that up somewhere on my screen. So things are happening, but I think you're right. Citizen science is what we need now. It's what you're tapping into, the fact that we have the technology to, in a way, upstage the government, to show that the truth belongs to the people. And you're proving it, Caroline. You are showing that we can make a difference. We should be able to we should be able to go and tell the truth about this. So I'm just going to show that headline right here. I just found it. Yeah, I think this is it right here. It's this headline that fits perfectly. This should really make your film even more popular, right?
I know, right?
You see this? House panel to hold public hearings on unexplained aerial sightings. And of course, we have that fame. Leslie Keane and Ralph Blumenthal again.
Congressional hearing. That's insane, you know? So I think, you know, to your point, I think everybody's been putting out so much information. Then when those Tic Tac Navy videos came out, that, you know, the government can't stay quiet too long, because then it's worse, you know. And I think because we've been putting out all this information, that finally the Navy came out, the Pentagon came out, said, yes, okay, it's us, we got it, you know, it's real. And then, you know, we're putting out so much information about having contact experiences and abductions and crazy stuff like that, that sounded crazy. Until recently, again, another 1,500-page report comes out, and the Pentagon talking about the effect coming in contact with a craft, radiation.
It still sounds crazy because we're not used to that. I mean, me and you, and actually Caroline has the last chapter in my book, Making Contact. We're used to that, but you know what you're doing is presenting facts to the world, so it's undeniable. You could deny what people are saying, they've had this experience and had this radiation, whatever, but the film you just made is the proof. It's like what Michio Kaku says in your film, it's the smoking gun, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's exactly the purpose of the film, because you're telling us we're all crazy. You're telling us, oh, it's one angle, it's one person or one camera, even though there are multiple witnesses. You're telling us, you know, it's not good enough validation. Well, now there's no excuse, because we've done it scientifically with scientists who are actually not very open to, you know, crazy theories, to be honest. The scientists in the film are very nuts and bolts scientists, you know, they're hardcore scientists, which is good in this case, because we wanted, you know, the ones who are the most skeptical, you know, who are going to have this very rigorous analysis of every single thing they find. And so we put it out there. So now they can't tell us that we you know, correlating with multiple devices from different software, from different angles. That's scientific, you know, that is proof enough.
Well, how did you get those scientists to be a part of them? What did you say? Did you say we're going to be UFO hunting? How did you talk to them?
No, actually, to be honest, you know, I work with a lot of scientists, and I was going to put the team together from scratch. I was going to invite certain scientists and other experts. And then when we were in pre-production, we stumbled on this group UAPX, and I recognized the radar guy, you know, the Kevin Day, who was the radar guy on the Navy ship in 2004, who started this whole thing.
On the Nimitz of the Princeton.
Yeah, it's the same. It's the ship is called the Princeton. And so I recognized him, and I recognized another person also on the team. And so I thought, oh, I should contact them, you know, because they're a part of the story in a way. And so they told me that they already had a couple of scientists on their team. They had never done anything like this before, but they wanted to do something similar, you know, and they already had recruited these two scientists. So I thought, why should I go, you know, from scratch? Why don't I give it a try and work with this team, especially one of the team members at the time, actually, David Mason, he owned a ton of, basically everything you see in the film is owned by one guy, except like one device that was one scientist and another device that was mine. So he had hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of equipment. And so I thought it makes sense to just work with this group and try it out this first.
Yeah, no, someone asked me, how did she afford all that? Someone in the UFO field said it must have gotten government funding to afford all that equipment. I said, I don't think so. So that explains it.
Yeah. So first of all, I'm not affiliated with any government,
No,
blah. You know,
I know.
yeah, and so let's put that out there. But yeah, so David had already, so some of the equipment are the typical cameras and the night vision, although it's military grade, you know, like the night vision goggles. But then he had, for example, FLIR cameras. So the FLIR, for those who don't know, like if the night vision goggles are 1 to 3 microns or something, the FLIR is 13 microns. So it's like 10 times more in the RIR, in the infrared range. So that's kind of like a lot of the high military grade, you know, state of very advanced technology. And so he already had 8 of those, each one costing $50,000. So you can do the math. And so that was incredibly lucky. I purchased another piece of equipment as well. And so, but that was, you know, kind of like a given, you know, to work with this group as it was, as a first attempt to go out and do it this way.
And he must, well, I'm going to have David Mason on the show we're doing on the 9th. I can't wait to meet him but just give us a little preview. What did he think of what he found there, what you guys found?
Yeah, again, these guys, even though, you know, David believes because he kind of was forced into believing, you know, because when you are a technology expert, you're an engineer, you know, the first thing when you see something anomalous, you want to refute, you want to kind of question it, you know, you're skeptical. And so he's had some things that he captured on his FLIR cameras, for example, that did make sense. For example, objects that are flying in the sky that register cold. So when you are flying,
wait, let me just ask you, is that unusual for objects? Because mostly should be hot if they're flying with the friction of the atmosphere, right? They should be hot.
Exactly. There should be some sort of friction. There should be some sort. So any type of a propulsion system that we know of should emit heat. So the fact that it's flying and it is registering cold right there is an anomaly. And so we've captured these, and we've captured objects that would just like appear for a few frames and disappear. We've captured things that are literally raining down. The type of things that we captured in this film are also so different than what's out there. That's another thing. Like we have the typical orbs that everybody sees on YouTube, but then we have those which you've seen the film. Some of the things you just can't deny it. Like you can't say it's.
But did you capture that because you had the high-tech equipment to capture it? That's why you were able to see things that people with just a regular camera can't see? Isn't that right?
Yeah, so it depends. Every every anomaly we capture was for different reasons, or it did something different. So, for example, the object that just appeared and disappeared, that probably we couldn't have seen with the naked eye, because, I mean, it was literally like boop, boop, you know, and then it registered cold. If we didn't have that measuring device, the thermal camera, to tell us it was cold, just looking at it, you couldn't have seen that it was cold. So it's definitely the technology we were using that helped us capture a range of anomalies that normally we wouldn't have.
I want to go more into this on June 9th, but just give us a little key. What do they make of an object that registers cold when it's flying? What do these scientists think that could be when it's moving through, you know, at, I don't know, a couple 100 miles an hour and it's cold? What did they make of that? How did they explain that?
It's an anomaly.
Well, that doesn't explain anything.
No, I mean, like, it's a technology that is, you know, that is not known from their perspective. They think it's I think there is such a technology, to be honest with you. But they're saying it's a technology that we don't have. That's what they're saying. And it's impossible technically, although some of them can tell me that, what is it called? Endothermia or something, where you can create the vacuum or something around the object and make it cold or something. But even that, it doesn't make sense, So, and also it doesn't explain how an object can appear and disappear. Like, how does that work? You see what I mean? So there's too many elements and properties that defy any sort of explanation.
So you have footage and two angles of objects just appearing out of nowhere, out of absolutely nowhere. There's something, I'm sure you're right. The government has lots of that, but that's inexplicable by what we know reality to be. That's why this film is so important, because it blows people's minds right open.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And the range of things that we've discovered, that are in the film. Like I said, it's not just one thing. So, things zigzagging and disappearing, and stuff appearing, disappearing, registering cold, things raining down. Like who has footage of stuff raining down? You see? So it's amazing that we were able to, and then of course, the last thing at the end of
you want to give it away, the last thing?
Well, I mean, we could talk about it just a little bit.
All right, talk about it a little bit, but go ahead. Yes.
No, you ask away because
No, I'm saying the last thing that you discovered is something that will revolutionize science. Of course, it's the title of your film, but tell people. But I do want to go into more when we have a deeper discussion. But what did you discover that was so phenomenal that no one? I mean, it's documented in your film, but still, it's hard to believe.
Yeah, right. So. Well, basically, I just want to say also as a side note, I called the film A Tear in the Sky like 2 years ago, like when I had the idea, because I'm fascinated with, I'm not fascinated with the UFO itself. I mean, that's, of course I am, but what I'm more fascinated by as I'm doing these films is to understand the mechanics of the universe. In other words, what is it in the universe? What is it in the space-time fabric that would allow these things to happen, what we call anomalies? Because if we understand how the universe works, how really the fabric of space-time really, really works, then we can create technology, then accordingly, you know what I mean? We're trying to figure out the technology without understanding how the universe really works. And scientists themselves tell us we don't. So anyway,
but wait, did you get any closer to understanding how the universe works? Because all you have is another anomaly. So how do we make sense of that? We don't even understand the things that aren't an anomaly. But how do you make sense of this? How does the universe work now?
Exactly. So that is more, to me, that is more proof. So again, fast forward for those who didn't see the movie yet, which I think everybody should see the movie. But so we ended up basically capturing on camera some sort of opening and closing, like a clouds open and close. And we see actual reflective physical objects. Physical, not radiation, not whatever, stardust, whatever, because we can measure them. And the radar picks up on reflective objects. It doesn't, pick up on everything else. So we have this thing that opens and closes with like objects popping out of it and disappearing. And so what do you call that? And so, so to me, it's more confirmation of my personal theories. But of course, science has a potential idea of what a wormhole could be. So are we getting a step closer in that direction? Or I think we are giving more clues to that possibility. Why not?
Well, on the show that we're going to do June 9th, don't mean to keep pushing it, but I think this is a warm up for that. Can we go deeper into, because you have David Mason and you have Travis Taylor, star of history. I would like to go deeper into the discussion about reformulating what the universe is really like. I mean, is that something you think these guys can do or take a stab at?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's the idea. That's why I recommended that you have those two guys, because they will give even more technical details. Even if you're not, like, I'm not a scientist, I mean, I know a lot about science, but so the people like me who get the concept, but don't need to kind of decipher the mathematical formulas and stuff like that, they will really get a lot out of this presentation that we're doing, because the scientists are going to be able to explain more the possible dynamics and mechanics. What could how does the plasma function that could allow such a phenomenon to happen, or what would explain this from a light bending perspective, or from a magnetic field kind of concentration or something like that. So it's going to be fascinating to get into that conversation.
But also, what I think this is all leading to is our not just understanding, but the understanding of the minds of the beings. Like, we won't be able, and this is a point I want to bring out, we can't understand the technology until we understand how the beings that created the technology think. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, and that's what I was saying earlier. Whoever's out there, whoever's creating this technology must understand the mechanics of the universe, because they're not going to create a technology like we are, where first we go to the moon and then we go to Mars and then we go like one little thing in a linear sense. I guarantee 1,000% that advanced civilizations have a technology. They know how to transport themselves from point A to point B faster than the speed of light. Boom, through these nodes, these points within space, these coordinates.
These stairs in the sky, you're saying.
Exactly. And so that's what I'm saying. Like, if you understand that part, then the technology will come with it.
Right, but I think we also get closer to understanding the mindset of the being. I mean, I think that's the technology will lead us closer to interfacing with these beings. And once we start to understand the technology, of course, to understand the technology, we have to let go of everything we think we know about physics. I mean, or the Newtonian laws of physics, cause and effect. You make an action this way, it propels something that way. That is out of date physics. So something else is needed, and you're right at the very edge of discovering that. So what's your where are you going from here, Caroline? I mean, are you taking this to members of Congress, this film? You're saying, look, I mean, what do you want to do?
Well, so first of all, the scientists in the film, they're going to write a paper, which also is a first. That's never been done in ufology ever. And so we're literally making history with this film, And again, people who are scientists and who are going to watch it, there's more detail. It's a film, so we kind of give you the rundown, the summary of each anomaly. But there's going to be more presentations. So I think the scientists making more presentations, writing a science paper for peer review is going to trigger, I think, a lot of interest in other science groups, to look into it. And because they are not simple, hardcore scientists, they should be taken seriously. And the questions may trigger something on a government level.
Yes, and also you have in there, well, I wanted to ask you about William Shatner, but the key representative of science is Michio Kaku, who developed string theory. So when you showed him this film, what was his response? What did he say?
To Michio?
Yeah.
Kaku? Well, actually, I just sent him I sent him a screener. We haven't actually discussed, so I'm waiting for him to kind of go through the screener and be able to talk to me about it. But yeah, I've sent it to a couple of other scientists as well. I mean, they must have seen it by now. And so we'll see what's going to come out. Hopefully by the time we do our show in June, we'll have more kind of feedback or reaction from some of the scientists out there.
Well, could we get Michio Kaku on the June 9th show? Would he be willing to come on?
Oh my God, I don't know. We can ask. He's super...
Ask him.
I can try.
That would be a breakthrough. That was because he says we need the smoking gun. You create the smoking gun, a verifiable proof that there's something real going on that's undeniable. It's not military, it's not, drones. It's something appearing through openings in time space.
Yeah, but when I interviewed him, actually, by the way, he is such a pleasure to interview. Oh my God, he gives you the best bites. He's so eloquent. He's amazing. So, but when I interviewed him, I told him, we're doing this and that's whatever. And I told him, if you were doing it, how would you put it together? So he was exactly saying what we were doing, so that was even more validation that you needed a multiple, large number of devices, different types of technology at the same time over a period of time, to different locations to achieve triangulation. So it was exactly like what we were doing. So I mean, he didn't see the movie. I don't know if he liked it or not, but
I'm sure he liked it because he makes it valid. I mean, he sets it up for you.
Yeah.
He sets up. What was William Shatner like though?
Oh my God. So here's the thing. So people who are confused about that, because, he's sci-fi. So we kind of were going with the angle, okay, it's a scientific and, we wanted to bring that sort of new data, scientific data. But so we had the whole script, the whole story together, and it was more towards the end. We thought, it's time to make this information more mainstream. The government's talking about it. People are talking about it. How can I make this film? Which also, the reason why I'm making films is to make it more mainstream-like, because not everybody wants to go to a con. Not everybody wants to read books and this and that. Right. So I'm trying to make it more mainstream. And so I thought, how do I bring someone, of course I thought about William Shatner because I'm on the same show as him and I've met him before in other places and stuff. So, and his name popped and I'm like, well, I'm just going to ask if it works, great. And literally it just kind of fell into place literally in a couple of days. It was insane. So meant to be. And we thought he's a legend. He is a legend.
Yes. I grew up with him. Watching that show that just opened my mind to writing a book like this, Making Contact.
Yeah, possibilities. And so because he represents that potential, this ideal sci-fi. So I thought he's like a perfect bridge, from this world of sci-fi, and we're out there doing what he did in sci-fi world. But on a personal level, he was so fun. He is actually a lot more interested in the mysteries. To be honest, he's very open to even consciousness and life after death and these types of topics. A little bit even more than the science, I want to say. So it was fascinating because he would give us always an answer that was more bigger picture, more like the mysteries and to make you think along those terms. So it was a perfect balance. It was just added that one little, kind of thing in the film. To me, I think it worked.
Well, I don't want to say he's the best part of the film, but he's very entertaining.
Yeah.
You're the best part of the film. Your enthusiasm. You're you know, it's like documenting your reaction to what you're discovering, that you really make the film accessible, because we're seeing the results through your eyes, through your awakening that, oh my God, there really is something here. So would you like this film to go? Would you like it to be seen like on mainstream television and things like that?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's why we made it like a blend, you know, of important things. We have the actual scientific data collection for the UFO world, you know, because that does not exist in ufology. So I really want everybody in ufology to just watch the film. It's nothing like you've seen before. So it is really kind of making history in that sense with what's following outside the film. So that's for this audience, but also, as I was mentioning, people who are into consciousness. Again, because what we're doing, in this film, you don't have to be into UFOs. I mean, I'm not necessarily just into that subject. My whole base work is on consciousness. So if you're into that world as well, I feel this film brings even more credibility to the bigger picture, that there are things out there that can be measurable in the proper way. And, you know, when you have communications happening with an extraterrestrial out of nowhere, or you sense something, whatever, all these consciousness experiences are valid. And it's just bringing that much more validation to the much larger picture. Mm-hmm. So there's that audience that I think will definitely benefit from this. And then the mainstream, and that's where William Shatner comes in. Like, the government's talking about this now. The government's talking about abductions now. So like, pay attention. Hey, you know, so it has the science, the credibility, and it has the icon, you know, the image of William Shatner. So I really want the mainstream to watch this film. Everybody should be watching this film.
I agree. Everyone should be watching this film, because this is a breakthrough. Talk to your relatives who say, what are you talking about? These things don't exist. It doesn't matter what the government said. This is the film that says these things exist, and they're here, and they're visiting us really in untold numbers. I mean, it's not just a little thing here and there. You were off the coast of California looking at Catalina Island, which is a hotspot, right? But there's lots of hotspots all over the world like that. So one more question. I know you have to go soon because you're a big producer now and have appointments. No, but just like the hint of consciousness. So we have the technology looking at this stuff, but where does the idea of consciousness come into play when we have technologies observing this?
Okay, so I'll tell you a little story. I don't know if I told it before, but I'll tell it anyway. So I was in my house, and all of a sudden you came to my house, that one. And then it was Labor Day, and all of a sudden I look up outside. I just felt the urge to go outside. It was like 9 o'clock or something. I go out and I look up, and I see these 3 balls of light, and they're like bouncing off of each other. And they weren't very high. It was pretty low. And so, of course, the first thing is that me, you know, after a few seconds and then I'm like, I'm going to just connect with them and just see what happens, you know, it's free, right? So I connected with them. I said, if you are an extraterrestrial intelligence, then show me something, like do something. So now the 3 balls of light exactly at that time become 4, then become 6, then become 8. And I'm like, okay, let's pretend that was a coincidence. If you can hear me, then follow me. So I'm like walking, you know, half a mile in one direction, and this thing is hovering like right above me. And then I'm like, okay, nice trick. Now let's go the other direction. And I'm walking in a totally different direction, another half a mile, and this thing is hovering right above me.
Well, how far above you was this thing?
What do you make out of that? Like, I mean, how do you not come out of this experience thinking I was connecting with an intelligent being. I mean, an intelligence.
Yes.
So,
yes.
So that's
and maybe that's why they appeared to you in the film, because you were connecting with that same consciousness, right?
I mean, there's a lot of different ones that I'm connected with, but what I'm saying is the people who have these experiences, the people who are into consciousness, who people who believe or don't believe or sense the presence of beings, you know, coming, visiting them at night or what have you, this is real. Like, you know, this isn't a fragment of our imagination. Like we're just all like making this up. This, I mean, and on that day, I'm like watching this thing hovering right above me, right? And then I see a neighbor. I'm like, perfect. And then I said, hey, she's walking her dog, right? And then I said, do you see these lights? And then she says, oh, yeah. You know, I said, do you think they're strange? And she goes, oh, no, you know, like not even. And she goes back to, you know,
walking her dog. Yeah.
And then I said, but they're right above us. Like they keep, you know, and she's like, oh, yeah. I'm like, and nothing. Like
that's why your film is going to wake people up, shake them up, and maybe lead to people in Congress, scientists, you know, people have ignored this stuff. Like Neil deGrasse Tyson, when he saw some of that footage from the Nimitz, he said, oh, that must be an artifact on the radar. I mean, you don't get a big black object, but he said that, and he's very trapped in this very narrow mindset. And he also denied the fact that these pilots actually saw the object with their own eyes. So you got the proof from radar, from heat, thermal, infrared cameras. I mean, 4 or 5 different ways you prove the existence of these things that just appear out of nowhere and come in and out of our reality. That's the grounding. Then we can ask the bigger questions. Who are they? Where are they from? What do they want? But we have to establish first that they're here. And I think that's what you do, right?
Exactly. That's exactly what the purpose of this film is. And that's exactly what's missing. What I thought was missing in ufology is there's a lot of incredible footage. Don't get me wrong. You know, there's a lot of amazing, including the Tic Tacs, obviously, but we don't have, you know, actual, how do we collect, how do we study this phenomenon from scratch? How do we study it scientifically to really, really prove its existence? And that's what we did. That's what we did.
Thank you. I'm thanking you on behalf of the people of Earth that you made this film. I also want to tell people that Caroline is going to be part of this show that I'm doing here. Do you see that on your screen? Mm-hmm. Especially episode 3, Proof of UFO Technology, and you're going to be appearing with Travis Taylor. Do you want to give a little background about Travis Taylor?
Yeah, Travis, I met him on the set, not on the set, in the green room, because he's on Ancient Aliens and Skinwalker Ranch and these shows. And we did several conferences together. And so in the green room, you know, we would hang out and talk. And it's very funny because I met him several years ago. And he was, speaking of hardcore scientists, oh my God, he was hardcore, I'm telling you. And so, and then the more he did Skinwalker Ranch, and the more he got, you know, to really himself having these experiences, the more he literally changed. Now you talk to Travis and he can talk science, but then he can put it in a bigger context. He talks about the possibility of portals, but also consciousness, the entanglement of both. I mean, he's fascinating. Now I love talking to him. So he's the perfect guest.
Well, he's done some very important work on the History Channel. I mean, he's been on Ancient Aliens, but he also did a great series on Tesla, that he discovered things about Tesla that no one knew, that Tesla made the New Yorker hotel into a giant generator that we don't know where that power was for, but he discovered that by talking to the engineers at the New Yorker hotel, and it's still there. So he's a really important person at widening the scope of the whole phenomena. So this is part of a whole series. I'll go to this series here. Join us for the Making Contact series. Caroline's in the 3rd episode, but the first episode, well, you can sign up, go to makingcontactseries.com, and this is the poster here. You see that there, and then this 5-episode, Whitley, Strieber, Linda Moulton Howe, Nick Poe, JJ and Desiree Hurtak, Caroline Cory, Marie Rilke. These are some of the highlights, and this is how you sign up. The first series free, but I think it's worth going to. We just got Danny Sheehan to sign up for the June 2nd. Danny Sheehan and Steve Bassett are coming on, and they'll probably be talking about the Senate hearings. That's going to be a scoop. So if you're watching this, please sign up for this whole conference, Making Contact series. It's a 5-part series, and Caroline's going to go deeper into her understanding, and Travis and Dave Mason will be there. So, well, congratulations, Caroline. You've made a breakthrough in cinema, in technology, in science, and anything else you want to say? Do you want to just show your website for a second about the
yeah, sure. I mean, which website? The Tear in
the Sky website? Is there anything there
for sure.
you want to tell people about?
Yeah, I mean, let me see, where is the website?
Also, you might want to tell people where they can get the that's the series,
okay,
right?
So
you won all these awards. Congratulations.
AterraInTheSky.com. Just go to AterraInTheSky.com, and you will see when you click on Watch Now, which we will, it shows all the platforms, and the platforms keep changing. And right now it's showing next week in London in a theater.
Oh, wow.
The London Sci-Fi Film Festival. It's showing in the LA Independent Film Festival. It also won the Malibu's official selection. Oh, we're also June 2nd for those who are in Los Angeles. Mm-hmm. We're also going to be there live also, and we open the festival and we do a Q&A with Kevin Day and David Mason. That's huge to have all of us there as well for those who are interested. The New Media Film Festival, June 2nd in Los Angeles. So another thing, Alan, is the fact that I've won so many awards or official selections. Now, these festivals have thousands of submissions, and so in order to get your film screened at those festivals is huge to get even an official selection. This tells me that these are mainstream festivals. These aren't UFO people. You know what I mean? So for them to be interested in this film is really, really exciting.
Well, it's just as far as those are seen, but I'm saying just as far as a filmmaking, it's a good, it's a well-made, high quality, great production. I remember when you were making it, you said, I can't talk about it. You were telling me.
Yeah. So exactly. So that's why this is my crew, which I absolutely adore. But anyway, it is a very well made film. And that's the reason why the mainstream festivals like it. But when you go to the website, AterraInTheSky.com, click on Watch Now, and you see all the possible, platforms, and there will be more. But for now, I think the best is probably Vimeo. Prime or iTunes, and please watch it and leave a review. Yes. We were number 2 on the top documentary chart on the first day.
Great.
So that's huge. And we need that when, people watch it and leave reviews. So please do
Great.
that.
Great. All right. You can stop screen sharing, but that was excellent. Thank you. No, that's good because it has, I checked, I told you on YouTube, there were over 900,000 views of the trailer.
Yes.
So you've done something, it's been successful already, and then people can rent it and buy it and watch it over and over because you do need to see the movie more than once.
Yes,
because
exactly.
it just gets you familiar with the equipment and what you're trying to do, and then you go deeper in there. So
yeah, exactly. You want to and sometimes you want to rewatch some of the clips and stuff. So it's definitely a type of film that you watch a few times for sure.
Right. Excellent. And then join me and Caroline for the Making Contact series. And you just go to Making Contact, makingcontactseries.com. And we're going to have not just Caroline, we're going to go deep into the question of why are these beings here? What do they want? So that, and the last episode, it's, maybe they're already here. Maybe they've already evolving humans, and we're going to go into the whole starseed thing. So this is levels and levels. We're going to drop deeper into this question because, like my book, there's many levels of the phenomena that's at hand, and we just made a breakthrough, and I think we're getting ready for something big. Don't you think? Something's coming?
100%. 100%. And interestingly enough, this year, I mean, I'm not too much into astrology and things like that, but sometimes I am. It depends because I feel and see things and then it correlates with some of the things that are astrological. There's a lot of, eclipses, this year, which is very bizarre. Right. And the energy of eclipses are openings, it's like, flushing out the old, bringing the new, so there's a lot of correlations with astronomical events happening as well. Solar flares that are.
And astrology. I think Uranus is coming into Aquarius. I'm not sure about that, but Uranus rules the unexpected, the out there, the Aquarian energy, and we're really moving into an Aquarian age, which is just a label for a new cycle of time that's coming through now. So,
and astronomically too, the solar flares have been very strong at one point, and now they're coming back. So it's like there's a lot happening, at the same time that supports that new wave of understanding of knowledge of truth.
Yeah. And of consciousness is becoming a crucial factor in the whole UFO field. You get people like Grant Cameron who said, I'm just a nuts and bolts guy. And then one day he wakes up and he says, oh, no, it's all about consciousness. So consciousness is going to be a big part of this series because they have JJ and Desiree Hurtak on there. I have Whitley Strieber who goes deep into that conversation because of his interchange with these beings, which is basically a consciousness field. Moulton Howe goes deeper into that. So I'm really excited about what's going to come out of this, and I'm so happy you're a part of this. So thank you, Caroline. Thank you. Good luck, and keep putting out those films. Caroline's last movie was Superhuman, which was also a breakthrough movie, and your movie before that was what? Contact? E.T. Contact?
Among Us.
Among Us. So I can't wait to see where you're going with this one.
You shall
after this. All right. Good luck with the opening June 2nd at the
Landmark Theater in Los Angeles. So the New Media Film Festival, and in London, if somebody's in London listening for some reason, on May 22nd at the Sci-Fi Film Festival as well.
Great. Well, this is Alan Steinfeld for New Realities. Thank you, everyone. I'm just looking at the online chat, and we have some really great comments there. Just can't help thinking of the Outer Ranger show. I don't know, Amazing Terror in the Sky. tear in the earth. I don't know what that means, but anyway, there's some good comments there. And thank you again. And any final words before we see you again in a couple of weeks?
Yeah, and then people should leave the comments, because then we'll go and, you know, reply to them at some point. They should circulate this information. You know, this is a turning point. This is a breakthrough. This is information that supports, you know, you guys. You know, the work brings more validation. So we also need your help. It's a revolving door. We're putting out this information, and we need your help and support to keep putting out reviews and sharing it over and over. So I very much appreciate it. And especially for you, my dear friend, Alan.
Thank you. Thank you for everything you're doing. And I'll just leave people with the Making Contact series right there. Come be a part of it. I'm Alan Steinfeld. Thanks for tuning in today. I appreciate all your comments, everything that people are doing to evolve us. Even if you're watching this program, you're part of the phenomena. So thanks again. Caroline Cory, filmmaker, director, producer, Terror in the Sky. Get that film on some platform somewhere. Thanks, and stay tuned for more New Reality Show. I want to thank Portal to Ascension and Soul Search for making this whole program